Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I hope that you're doing well. So guys, this video is going to be my first video on the use case project in Uipath. So guys, in this video, we are going to understand a very interesting use case or the project which is known as the insurance report analysis. Okay. So guys, this video is going to be very much useful for the freshers who are actually interested in the field of RPA and the UiPath. Okay. Because in this use case, I would be sharing my own experience and knowledge of the projects that I've actually worked on the UiPath. Okay, so this knowledge would be useful for you because you could get to know the real world project understanding. And also this video is going to be useful for the RPA experienced developer as well, who are interested to learn more about the projects that are automated in the insurance domain. So guys, before moving further in the video, let me tell you one thing, that the mode of language for this video would be in English. Okay, but if you want me to make video in Hindi, then just comment below so that I could know that which language do you prefer the video. So that I could actually make videos accordingly. Okay. Also, one more thing that I would like to say is that just watch the video till the end, and if you like the video, then please share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. So now let's understand the agenda, okay, or the process flow. Like, what are the steps that we need to perform? Okay. So guys, just wait a second. Till then, I will just open the flow diagram. Okay, flow chart. So guys, let me just open the flow diagram. Okay. So guys, this is the flow chart or the flow diagram, okay, which is nothing but the visual representation of the steps that we need to perform in order to automate this process. Okay, so guys, let's understand the steps one by one. So in the first step, you can see that we need to copy the file from the share path. Okay, so guys, if you don't know about the share path, then don't worry. I will just explain you. Okay, so guys, share path is nothing but the folder path, which is mainly used in the companies to share the data within the team or within various departments. So now let me show you the common path or the share path from where we are going to get the input file. Okay. So let me so just give me a second and I'll just open the common path. Okay. So guys, you can see here, right? This is the common path. Okay, so this is the common path, and this is the input file, which is the transaction report. Okay, and one more thing, guys, the data which I have actually created in this file is just dummy data. Okay, so I've created this just for learning purpose, but the headers and the terms are somewhat similar to the project, which you could actually expect in the insurance companies or any company, in any other company. Okay, so let me just open and show you. So guys, you can see this data, right? So here we are having the policy numbers, then we have the type, the product code, sum, maturity amount, and the comments. Okay, so this is just the data, okay, dummy data. So guys, let me just minimize this window, okay, this Excel file, okay, and just listen to me carefully, okay, and try to understand like what I'm saying, okay. So guys, understand one thing, that there might not be always a scenario uh, where you would be getting the files directly from the folder. Okay, so as of now, we are just getting the file directly from this folder, which is common path folder. Okay, but most of the time in the companies, you have to get the files from the different dynamic folders and dynamic subfolders. Okay, so let me just show you. Okay, let me just create a folder which is a dynamic folder, and I will explain you. Okay, so now let me just create a folder. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new folder with the current year and the previous year. Okay, I'm going to put the previous year, which is 2022-23. So now I've created this one folder. So inside this folder, I'm going to create another folder. Okay, so now let me create the folder for the current month. Okay, so there might be multiple folders. So our current month is July. I will put July 23, and inside this folder I'm going to put the current date, which is the 1st July. Okay, 1072023. Okay, and inside this I'm going to copy this file, okay, and paste this here. Okay, so now if I tell you a situation, okay, if there is a situation like if there is a client, and if the clients tell you like to get the file which was generated actually last month or on the particular date, and if the file is not stored properly in the particular folder, then you might not be able to get the file, right? So that is the reason why mostly the companies maintain these different folder structures, because it becomes easier, right, to retrieve the files. So guys, listen to this, because you might be coming across such situations where you need to get the files from the different dynamic folders while you're actually developing and automating any process in your company. So now, since we have created this folder, okay, and now if I tell you to get the file which was generated on the 1st July 2023, then you might be able to get the file, right? Because we have the folder structure defined. So guys, if you're interested to know like how to get the file from the dynamic folder, then please let me know. Okay, I'll definitely make a video on that. But as of now, I will directly take the file from this folder, because this is our first use case, right? So I don't want it to be much more complicated. Okay, I hope that you understand. So now, as we understood the first step, okay, we understood like we need to copy the file from the share path, and we need to store that into the input folder. Okay, so whatever steps we are doing right now, right, we are going to replicate it by the bot. Okay, so now we would be coding it once our agenda or the use case is completed. Okay, so now the first step is completed. So now let's move to the second step. Okay, so what is the second step? The second step was to open the Excel file, right? So let me just to show you the process flow. So here you can see the second step is to open the Excel file. So now let's open the Excel file. So let me go here. Let me open this Excel file. So now we have done with the second step. So now what is the next step? Our next step is to remove the duplicate values, okay, from this file. So you can see here there are duplicate values. So let me show you. So you can see this is the duplicate value, and there is one more duplicate value, and there is one record, and there is one more similar record. So you can see there are two duplicate values present in this Excel file. Okay, so we want to remove that. So how we can remove? So in order to remove that, I have to actually select the entire data. So I'm just clicking here. I'm going to do Control A. I'm going to select entire data. Then I'm going to go to the data tab, and then I'm going to go and click on this icon, which is duplicate, remove duplicate. Okay, I'll just click here, and I'll select the columns if the columns are not selected, and then I'll just click on OK. So now you can see that two duplicate values are found, and and removed. Okay, and 16 unique values remain. So guys, we have removed the duplicate values, right? So now let's move to the next step. Okay, so the next step is to filter the data. So let's filter the data. Okay, so now I just want that the policies should have the term plan only. Okay, so we have the policy numbers, and you can see there are term and non-term. So I want the policies having only the term plan. So what I can do? So I want to filter the data. Okay, so let me just click here. Okay, so now uh, let me show you the first way. Okay, to filter the data. So in order to filter the data, I need to just select these headers. Okay, so I'm just placing the cursor here, and then I'm going to go to the data tab, and then I'm going to click on filter. Okay, so now I want only the term plan, so I'll just unselect this, and I'll just click on OK. So now so guys, you can see a total how many plans are there. Okay, so you can see a total we have 10 uh, plans, which is the term plan having these policy numbers and this product code and this sum assured and maturity amount. Okay, so now let me show you another method. Okay, in order to filter the data, so let me just remove this filter. Okay, so now if I want to filter this based on the term plan, okay, so how can I do that? So there is a shortcut way. Okay, so in order to filter, I'll just select here and I'll just press Control Shift L, okay, on the keyboard. So now you can see the filter is placed, and now I will just select the term plan. So now you can see the term plan is selected, and we are having total 10 term plans with these policy numbers. Okay, so now what is the next step? Okay, let me see. Okay, so now we have seen, we have actually removed the duplicate values, we have filtered the data. So now what is the next step? So now the next step was to plot the comments. Okay, so now what I want to do, for I want to plot the comment. Okay, so now if there is the product code, you can see here, if the product code is A1, I want to plot the comment as ulip. Okay, and if the product code is A2, I want to plot the comment as non ulip. Okay, understood. So now I want to plot the comment. So here, let me just drag and drop till here, because we have the A1 plan till here, and for A2 we need non-ulip. Okay, let me just drag and drop it down. So this is the steps that we need to perform. Okay, so now we have performed all the steps. So the last step is to save the file in the output folder. Okay, so now we understood like what we have to do. So now let's move on to the coding part. Okay, so let's start and automate this process in the Uipath. Okay, so guys, let me just close this Excel file. Okay, so now I'll just close this. I'll click on don't save. Okay, so now let me just open the UiPath Studio. Okay, so you can see this is the UiPath Studio icon. Let's double click on it. So it will take some time to load. So let's wait for it. Okay, so guys, okay, so guys, you can see here the interface of the UiPath Studio. Okay, so this is the UiPath Studio community version. Okay, so now let's create a new process. Okay, so I'll just click on the process icon. So let's click on it. Now let me just rename the project file. So I'm just going to remove this, and and one more thing, guys. Okay, so whenever you are creating a new project, okay, in UiPath, make sure that you have provided the relevant name. Okay, so let me just add the name of the project, which is the insurance report analysis. Okay, so here you can see, here you can see the description as well. So if you want, you can add the description as well. So as of now, we'll just keep it default. And now let's click on the create button. Okay, so I'll just click on the create button. So now it will take some time to add all the packages and the dependencies which we require for this project. Okay, so now let's wait for some time. So you can see here it's adding the dependencies. Okay, so now uh, it's loaded properly. So now let's click on the open workflow. Okay, so I'll just click here. Just click on open main workflow. So guys, now it's time to automate the process. Okay, so our first step was to copy the files, right, from the share path. So if I show you the process flow diagram, so you can see here we need to copy the file from the share path. Okay, so in order to copy the file from the share path to our input folder, we need to use one activity. Okay, so we have different activities in UiPath. So let me just go back to UiPath Studio. Okay, so let me just go to the activities panel. Okay, so here this is the activities panel. So now I'm going to search for the copy file activity, because I want to copy the file from the shared path to the input folder. Okay, so I'll just click here. But guys, just consider situation. Okay, if the file is not present, then what would have happened? Okay, it would have thrown an error, right? Because the file is not present in the share path or the common path. So guys, we need to make sure that the file is present in the particular folder before we copy the file. Okay, so guys, let me just remove this copy file activity as of now. We will use it after some time. Okay, I'll just delete this. Okay, so guys, let's use another activity. Okay, which is the file exist activity. So let me just search for file exist. Okay, so you can see there is a file exist activity, and it is mainly used to check whether the particular file is present in the folder or not. Okay, and if it is present, it will return a boolean value which is true, and if the file is not present, then it will return the boolean value which is false. Okay, I'll just drag and drop it here. So now what okay, so now you can see that we need to provide the file path. Okay, so here you can see we need to provide the path from where the bot is able to read the file. Okay, so guys, in this file exist activity, we have to provide the path. Okay, so like uh, where the input file is present. So guys, let's go to the common path. Okay, so we know that the input file is present in our common path. Okay, so I'll just go to the common path. Okay, so this is the common path. Okay, so here you can see this is the common path, and this is our input file, which is the transaction report. So I will just go here and I'll just do shift right click, and I will just click on copy as path, and I'm going to Uipath Studio, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, control V. So now I have pasted this path, which is the transaction report. So you can see this is the path is pasted. So now I want you to tell one thing, that the path should always be enclosed in the double quotes. Okay, so guys, instead of passing the path directly, let's do one thing. Okay, so let's store this path in some variable. So guys, if you don't know about variables, okay, so variables are nothing but just like containers, okay, that are mainly used to store the values such as numbers, string. Okay, so let's create a variable. Okay, so let me just go to the variable panel. I'll just go to this variable panel. Okay, let me just select this activity. So now I'm going to create a new variable with the name as share path. Okay, and the type is string, and I'm going to pass the path here. So I'm just going to copy this path from here. I'll just control C. I'm just going to paste it here. Okay, so now the path is inside this variable. So now I can use that variable directly. So I'm going to use share path. Okay, so now I'm just going to click on OK. Okay, so now we have entered the path. Okay, so now if the file is present, then we should know, right, the file is present or not. So file exist activity will provide the output in the form of boolean variable. Okay, like the file is exist or not exist, so it will return true or false. So in order to store that value, we need to create one more variable. So I'm just going to create a one variable, control K. I'm going to create a variable name as is exist. Okay, so this variable will contain the value true or false, and if the value is true, then we are going to copy the file. Okay, so now let's use an if activity. Okay, to check the condition, like if the file is present or not. So I'm just going to search for if activity. I am going to drag and drop it here. So here in the if condition, you can see there are three parameters. One is the condition, then we have the then block, and then we have the else block. Okay, so uh, in the condition, we are going to provide the variable, which is the boolean variable. Okay, is exist. I'm going to provide. So I know, like, the variable will contain true or false. So if the condition is true, then our then block will execute, and if the condition is false, then our else block will be executed. Okay, so if the condition is true, what I want to do, I want to copy the file, right? So I'll just go to the activities panel. I'll just search for copy file. Okay, so let me just drag and drop this file, copy file activity here in the then block. Okay, so now in the copy file activity, there are two parameters I have actually mentioned, right? So here I'm going to provide the path, which is our share path. Okay, so in a share path, we have the input file. So I'm going to provide the source, which is the share path. And in the destination, let me just create a new variable. Okay, let me just click Control K, create a new variable with name input folder path. Okay, okay. So in the input folder path, we are going to store the value, like where the file should be pasted. Okay, so let me show you the input folder. So you can see this is the input folder. Okay, so here you can see this is our input folder. So I want the file should be pasted here from the common path or the share path. Okay, so I'll just do one thing. I'll just copy this path, Control C. I'm going to UiPath Studio, and then let me select this copy file activity, and I'm going to paste the value here. Okay, I think I have not kept the double quotes. Okay, just go here. Let me add the double quotes. Okay, so now double quotes is done, and now we are done with this variable. Okay, so now what is the next step? Okay, so now we have checked whether the file is present or not, and if the file is present, we are copying the file from the share path, which is the common path, to the input folder. Okay, then after copying the file, we need to read the file, right? We need to read the file, so that we need to know like what is the data inside that. So so in order to read the value, we need to use one activity, which is the this read range activity. Okay, so we have read range workbook activity. So I'm just going to read the activity. Let me just go to the activities panel, and let me search for read range. Okay, read range. Okay, so here you can see there are two read range, which is the Excel and the workbook. So I'm going to use this read range workbook activity. Okay, let me just drag and drop this here. So here I need to provide the path. Okay, like where the file is present. So once the file is copied to this folder, input folder, okay, we can read the file. So let me just do one thing. Let me just manually copy this file and paste it in this input folder. Okay, and now I am just going to do shift right click, and I'm just going to click on copy as path, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, Control V. So now I've pasted this path here. So let me just delete the file from here as of now. Okay, so now the file is deleted. So now we have read the file. Okay, so now I need to provide the sheet name also. So sheet name was sheet 1. Okay, by default it will be sheet 1. I have not renamed that. Or let me just check what is the sheet name. Okay, let me just go here. Let me just open this file. mm, okay, okay, it is sheet 1 only. Okay, let me just close this. So let me provide the range. So I'm going to read the entire range, entire file, and let me just go to the properties panel, and let me check whether the headers and is enabled or not. Add headers is enabled or not. Okay, it is enabled. So now let's store this value in the variable. Okay, so so we are reading the value from the Excel file, and we are going to store the value in the data table variable. So data table variable will store the values which is stored in the form of rows and columns. Okay, let me just do Control K, and let me just store the value in data table dt. Okay, let me put dt input. So now we have stored the value in the variable, which is the dt input. Okay, so guys, now it's time to remove the duplicate rows. Okay, so in order to remove the duplicate rows, okay, so we have an activity which is called as the remove duplicate rows. Okay, so let me just go to the activities panel, and let me search for remove duplicate rows. Remove duplicate rows. Okay, so this is the remove duplicate rows. Let me just drag and drop this below the read range workbook activity. Okay, so here the input would be our data table. Okay, so we have created the output. We have stored the output of the read range in the dt input variable, right? Dt input. So we are going to provide this output of the read range activity into the input of the remove duplicate rows. So I'm going to provide input Okay, what was that? Input. Okay, DT. I think it's DT input. Okay. So I've provided the input, which is DT input, and let me store the output in some another variable. So this variable will be containing all the values after removing the duplicate values. Okay, so I'm going to create a new variable such as DT unique, because this variable will contain all the values which are unique. Okay, so let me just click enter. Okay, so now we have removed the duplicate rows also. So now what is the next step? Okay, so let me check what is the next step. Okay, we have removed the duplicate rows. Okay, so next step is to filter the data. Okay, so let me just go here and I'll just search for filter data table. Okay, so let me just drag and drop this activity below this. Okay, so now I am just going to click on this configure filter. Okay, I'll just click here, and here I'm just going to provide the input data table. So input data table is DT Unix, and I'm going to select keep, and here I'm going to provide the column name. Okay, so let me go to my input folder. Let me go to common path folder. Okay, so we need to filter, right? We need to filter the data based on the type, which is the term plan. Okay, so you can see here we need to filter the data based on the type, so we want only the term plan. So let me just minimize this, and I'm going here in the column. I'm going to add the type, which is type, and I'm going to select the operation is equal to, and the value would be term. Okay, and whatever output we are generating, we need to store that, right? So we will be storing that value in some another variable, which is DT filtered. Okay, some variable. So now I'll just click on OK. So now let me just go to properties panel. Let me check, is there anything that is missing? Okay, nothing is missing. Okay, so now we have filtered the data as well. So now we have read the data, we have removed the duplicate values, we have filtered the data. So now uh, we need to actually plot the data, right? We need to plot the data based on the product code. So if the product code is A1, we need to plot the comment as ULIP, and if the product code is A2, we need to plot the comment as non-ULIP. Okay, so let me just minimize this, and let's plot this. Okay, so in order to plot that, we need to use an activity which is invoke code activity. So let me just drag and drop this activity here below the filter data table. Okay, so now here I need to initially pass the argument. Okay, so let's pass the argument. So let me just create a variable, this argument. Okay, so just wait a second. I'll just click on the edit arguments, and here I need to pass the argument. Okay, so what was the argument? Okay, what was the output of the filter data table? Let me just check. It is DT filter. Okay, so let me go here. Let me go to edit arguments. I'll just click here. I'll just add the name, which is DT filtered, and the direction. Okay, so direction I'm going to select as in and out, because I want the code, I want that the value should be taken from the data table, and whatever comments we are plotting, we need to plot back to our data table, right? So that's why I am putting the direction and keeping the direction as in and out, and the type of this variable should be data table. Okay, system.data.data table, and I'm going to pass the argument, which is DT filtered. Okay, so now I've passed the argument also. So now we need to write a link query. Okay, so that query will basically do our task like plotting the data. So let's do one thing. Let's write the code. So let me just go to edit code. Let me just click on the edit code button, and then we'll write our code. Okay, we'll just let me just click here on the edit code. Here, let's write the query. Okay, so I'm just going to click here. So let me provide the data table, which is DT filtered dot select, and inside the bracket I am going to write the product code, equal to a1. So a1 I'm going to put in single quotes. So I want like the product code, if the product code is a1, then the comment should be plotted as ulib. Okay, so and then I'm going to put dot to list dot for each, and inside that I'm going to write a function which is sub of x and x of comment. I guess it's comments, right? So let me just check. Okay, it's comment. Okay, and then it should be equal to ulib, right? If the product code is a1, then it should be ulib, right? So now let me do one thing. I'll just copy this and I'll just paste it down, because we want to plot the comments for product code a2 also, right? If the product code is a2, then the comment should be non-ulib. So I'm just going to write non-ulib. Okay, so now we have written our code. Let me just click on OK. Okay, where is the code? It's saved, right? Okay, it's saved. And now, so now only our last step is remaining. So we need to store this data in some file, right, in the output folder. Okay, so let me just show you the output folder. So we need to store the value here in the output folder, in the insurance report analysis. Okay, so here let me just minimize this. Let me go to activities panel and let me search for the write range activity. Okay, so this activity will actually write the data which is present in our data table into the Excel file. So I'll just drag and drop this below here, and here I'm going to provide the path. Okay, so let me just go to the output folder and let me just copy this path here from here, and then I'm going to go to Uipath Studio. I'm going to provide the path here. Let me just maximize this window. Okay, so let me just put this in double quotes. Okay, and inside the output folder, what file name I want file name should be final output. Okay, so dot xlsx. So we need to store the file in the Excel file, right? We need to store the output in the Excel file. So I'm just providing the file name, and I will just click on OK, and I'm going to provide the sheet name also, sheet 1, and then the cell name as A1. So it should start writing from the cell A1, and let me just provide the data table. So what was the data table? It was dt filtered. Okay, so let me just write the data table name, which is dt filtered. Okay, so now our code is actually completed. Okay, so now if the file is not present, then what should we do? There should be some condition, right? The user should know, right? We should know like the file is not present. So for that I'm just going to write drag and drop a log activity. Okay, where is the log? Okay, log message. So this will tell the user like the file is not present. So like warning, we'll just put that, and here we'll write that file is not present in short path, not present in share path. Okay, so now our code is completed. So now it's time to run the code. Okay, so let me just close this file, and then we will try to run this. Okay, so now I'm going to run the file. Let me just check everything is proper. Okay, everything is proper. So now let's run this workflow, run this automation. Okay, let me just check if I have not stored in file in input folder. Okay, so I have not stored anything. Okay, so now let's run this workflow. I'm just going to click on the debug. So now the bot will start the execution, and it will try to perform all the tasks which we have actually mentioned. So now the bot is running. Now it's taking some time to do all the operations that we have told. So now the execution is completed. So now let's go to our output folder. Okay, now let me go to the output folder. You can see the final output is generated. Let me just open this file. Okay, so let me just open this. Okay, okay, so here you can see it has written all the data. Okay, but since we have not mentioned the headers, so we are not able to see the headers. Okay, so let me just close this file and I will show you the, let's run this file again and we'll run and we'll add the headers also. Okay, so let me just close this. Let me just delete this file. Let me delete the file from input folder also. Let's go to Uipath Studio. Let's go to right range workbook activity and let's enable this add header option. Okay, so now I'm going to save this file. So now let's run this automation again. Let's go to debug. So now the bot is going to compile and it is going to start the execution. So now the bot is under execution. So bot will initially check whether the file is present, and if the file is present, and it will copy the file. Then after copying the file, it will go to a read range activity. It is going to read the data. It is going to remove the duplicate rows. It is going to filter the data, and using the link query, it is going to plot the comments. And at the end, it is going to store the output in the output folder with the name final output. Okay, so now let's go to the output folder again. So now you can see the final output is generated. Let's open this file. So it's opening. Okay, so now you can see headers are present now. So now let me just maximize this window. Let me just do one thing. Let me just, okay, what should I do? Okay, let me just do one thing. Okay, let me just drag and drop this little bit so that you can see. Okay, so now you can see we are having the only the policies having only the term plan, and for the product code we have successfully plotted the comment as ulip, and for the product code A2 we have plotted the comment as non-ulip. So now you can see that the automation is completed. So thanks for watching.